Okay, everybody just take a deep breath and hold on to your giblets because here we go.
Time to light it up.
So, here we go. My most anticipated film of all time. Probably.
All time.
I would say probably it is. I mean, this is as big as it gets. I mean, how much bigger of a film can you possibly have here?
What are we reviewing?
Oh, hey. What just happened, you asked? Well, I didn't want to say it to anybody during the review, but I have required a certain gauntlet. Thanos borrowed it to me. You know, I didn't want to say it too loud during the review, but I decided just to go ahead and take a trip to Mars here to chill out. Should I bring him back? What do you think? Should Vince come back? All right, I'll let him back.
I don't know.
Okay, so way back, I mean, how many movies has there been? I think there's been, 18 movies now? Something like that?
17, 18, something like that, yeah. 10 years.
Has it been 10 years or been longer?
10 years.
Okay, so 10 years ago, Becky and I went to go see Iron Man at the theaters. And it was one of those films like Star Wars. It was like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it was like watching Jurassic Park for the first time. It's like when we came out of it, it was one of those special moments that you knew you just saw something special. You knew something just happened. As a lifelong fan of going to the movies, you know when you see something special, and that was the first Iron Man. Because the first time we heard about it, and I was like, okay, they're making an Iron Man movie. But then they're like, Robert Downey Jr. is playing Iron Man. I was like, that's it. I mean, he's Iron Man. I mean, he literally is Iron Man. So there was this comic that we used to read called The Ultimates. And in The Ultimates, it's sort of like an alternate universe of, of the comics. So everybody was a little bit different. And Nick Fury was drawn just like Samuel Jackson in the comic. And we loved the comic. It was a great comic. So we went to go see Iron Man, and at the very end, Nick Fury shows up, and it's Samuel Jackson. I lost it. I was like, "Oh my god!" We both started screaming and hollering, and everybody's looking at it like, "Huh? What?" And nobody understood it. They didn't get it, Vince. They didn't get it.
And do you know that, a little bit of trivia here? Did you know that wasn't intended? They just kind of stuck it in there. It wasn't even intended to be anything more than that. Than what you saw in the film. All these Marvel fans and everything thought, oh wow, yeah, they got Nick Fury, they got Samuel L. Jackson. No, it wasn't. It was just something to stick in there as an extra thing. But because they did it, and because all these fanboys' reactions to it, then they were like, okay, yeah, maybe we got something here, and we'll go farther with it.
So, at what point in the movies did the Tesseract show up? That was the second one, was it not? That they showed it at the very end?
No, It was shown in Captain America.
The second Iron Man had the scene at the end with the scientist guy from Thor, and he had the Tesseract.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the Tesseract was in the first Captain America. That was what Red Skull had.
Yeah, but the first time it was shown was at the end of Iron Man 2.
No.
Yeah, the guy had a suitcase, Vince, and he opened it up after the credits and had the Tesseract inside of it. That's where it was first shown.
Because they got it from the Red Skull at the end of Captain America.
So was Captain America before Iron Man 2?
Yes.
Oh.
Thor came before that, too.
Let's get talking about this Infinity War.
Let's start the review.
So, throughout, pretty much, I don't know if they intended it on the first film, but by Captain America, they had the Tesseract, which of course was an Infinity Stone, and the people writing this obviously knew what an Infinity Stone was, and almost every film, except for one, I think Ant-Man, I could be wrong, but I think that was the only one they didn't mention Infinity Stone in, wasn't it?
I can't remember. I haven't watched Ant-Man in a while.
I don't know if there's ever been another series in history of film that has built up, through 18 movies or however many movies there was, to one movie. I mean, all of these movies pretty much been leading up to this one film, and it was one of those things that's like, as a fan of all 18 movies, how are they going to do it? I was even telling Becky in the car on the way to the show. I don't see. It's like the first Avengers, basically. It's like, how are they going to do the first Avengers? I mean, you got all these amazing characters. How are they going to put them in one movie? It was just like my brain couldn't process that.
They did it.
They did do it, Vince, and the Avengers turned out to be one of the greatest films ever.
It seems like every Avengers movie up to this point, we've had that same thought going into it, because as they've gone along through each phase, they keep adding more and more characters. And every time we get to an Avengers movie, it's like, okay, well, how are they going to have all these characters in one movie? And every time it's worked. But at this point, it's not even a movie, it's an event.
Yeah, I mean, it's as big as it gets.
It's a cinematic event.
Yeah.
That was actually one thing about Age of Ultron that I think I even said it in the review. It was like, okay, with the first Avengers, we were like, how are they going to do that? How are they going to put all these characters in there? And then when they did it, and they did it well enough that not one character took over the other. It was actually all of them worked together, and all of them worked right, and the story was written great, and everything was solid with that story. So how were they going to do it again? Well, they did do it again with Avengers Ultron, but the only thing about Avengers Ultron that I said in the review was that you'd already seen them do it, so seeing them do it again really wasn't that big of a shock. It was kind of like, okay, they did it again. They repeated what they did the first time in that aspect of putting all these characters together. So even when it comes to this, I had faith in this because obviously they're putting all these characters from all 18 films into this one movie. And everything from the stories of all 18 films were colliding into this one movie.
That's what I was trying to say, was I don't think it's ever been done before. I don't think it's ever been done before in a movie.
I don't think it's ever been done well, because obviously every time they do anything with DC and they put more characters than just Batman in it or just Superman in it, it crumbles because they can't get them on a level where all of them work together and all the stories mix well and everything collides together. Everything with Justice League, it's like everything is up and down, and this person's doing that, and that. Well, that was great for that guy, but not so good for this guy. It's just a mess. Then they do it with Marvel, and it's fantastic.
The one thing that excited me about seeing this, actually, was to see Guardians of the Galaxy mixing in with the other characters, and to see Doctor Strange mixing in, because these are the brand new characters that haven't been into an Avengers movie. I wanted to see how they were going to, especially Guardians. I was like, how are they going to incorporate that into, the other superhero movies? And not only did they do it correctly, they did it so unbelievably well. It's just phenomenal what they did with Guardians. And actually, when we went to go see it, the whole audience was laughing so loud during that part, we couldn't even hear the movie. We missed like half the dialogue.
Yeah, I would believe that. Luckily, with my theater, there was maybe all of 20 people in it.
Damn!
Wow, yeah, ours was sold out. Ours was completely sold out. I mean, there wasn't...
We did go to the first screening, too.
Yeah, we went to the fan event on Thursday at 6 o'clock. But the thing is, again, they mixed these characters in so well, it just worked. And I tell you what they did so well in this movie, that, again, that Batman and Superman and DC can't figure out, is they had separate stories. Iron Man and Guardians, they had their story going on. And then you had the Wakanda story going on, and then you had another story going on with Thor and Rocket, and you had these three separate stories, and every single freaking story was outstanding in this movie, and they all did them all well, so it was great.
Well, they were also all doing their thing while all of them were doing everything at once. It was like even though they were all separate, everything they were doing was working toward the one thing. So it worked out well. They did it well.
Yeah, I am on Mars. That's where I decided to go. I mean, just chilling up here on Mars. This is how you do it. This is the way you do it, people.
The one thing that I told Dave when we came out was I liked that when they switched over to show what the Guardians were doing, it was like the directing style of the movie completely switched over to where it felt like you were watching a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And then when it switched over to like Captain America and all that stuff, it felt like you were watching those movies. But yet there was never any kind of a clash between those styles. It all just fit together so well.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, that's great.
And here we have the bad guy, Thanos. Now, Thanos has been in a couple films here and there. You've seen him a handful of times. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't read that many Thanos comics. I read the Infinity War a long time ago. I don't remember it though. And I didn't know what to expect. I was thinking more of like he was going to be like a Loki type of character, where he was just going to come and just want to take over the world and be the god of the universe, you know. But that's not him. That was not his character. Josh Brolin, who played him, oh my God. I mean, just come on. That was one of the best performances I have ever seen, ever. He was phenomenal as a character.
Yeah, he was. He was great. He was fantastic as this character. But the one thing I know about Thanos, was that from a long time ago, I mean, from even back when... Because I had some friends that read, like, the Silver Surfer. They would read those Silver Surfer comics and everything. They talked about Thanos then. And they talked about him being the world destroyer. So that was the one thing I knew mostly about him. So obviously when he shows up in here, that's his thing. That's what he's going to do. He's going to destroy whatever planet or world that he comes to.
Thing is with him, too, is he's not just a bumbling... idiot. That's what I loved. He just wasn't like this big-headed, oh, I'm going to kill everybody and everybody's going to die. I mean, he had his own reason for doing it. And sort of like we talked about with Killmonger in Black Panther, was he right or was he wrong? I mean, he thought he was right. What he was doing in this movie, he thought, you know, this is what you have to do. And he's in his brain, he's trying to help people. But he's obviously pure psychopathic evil.
Yeah, the best villains are always ones that believe that they're doing what's right for the greater good. Like, that's why Lex Luthor is such a great villain for Superman, because he honestly believes he's trying to save the world. He's not just being an evil person to be evil. He's doing it for what he thinks is a good reason. And Killmonger's the same way, and so is Thanos. They believe that what they're doing is right. It's not, you know... They're not going about it the best way, but they have good intentions, they think. And it's not really a sympathetic villain, but a villain that you can understand the reasoning behind what they're doing, even if what they're doing is evil and wrong.
I can see people taking their kids and going there just because it's the Avengers. Oh, I got to take my son to see the Avengers. Well, the son probably knows more about it than the parents do, because the parents haven't paid any attention to it. You know, stuff like that. So.
Well, and not only that, it's already 2.5 hours long. If they had to introduce who all these people are and explain where we're at in the story, this movie would be 8 hours long.
Yeah, do a DC. Well, see, Batman's parents got shot.
Well, yeah, they'd have to put that in there first. Look, what happened is Captain America crashed in the ice.
Yeah, well,
before that, he fought the Nazis.
Yeah.
Then he crashed in the ice.
And then you got Iron Man.
They dug him up. Then Iron Man made a suit in a cave.
Came out, and
then there's the guy Thor. He's got a hammer, but then now he doesn't have a hammer. But don't worry about it.
3 more hours of origin story. Add it into it.
All in slow motion.
Yeah.
It's also like a really big fan film, though, at the same time, because if you aren't a fan of these movies or the comics or something, if you don't know anything about these characters at all, yeah, you're going to be lost. You're going to be completely lost. If you haven't followed anything, you're going to be lost. So you've got to go and watch all the other movies.
And I got to tell you this too, Vince. You know, we reviewed Doctor Strange, and you loved it. And I thought it was an okay movie. I thought it was kind of mediocre, actually.
Yep.
In this movie, he was freaking awesome. And that has gotten me so excited for the next Doctor Strange, because you get to see what he gets to do. You really get to see what he does in this movie, and he's freaking awesome in the movie.
Actually, I went back and watched our review of Doctor Strange after I watched Infinity War, because I exactly feel that way. I was like, oh my God, he was freaking amazing in this film. And I went back and watched our review of it, and I had forgotten that you were kind of like, it was all right. I was saying in that review that I've always liked Doctor Strange. There's always been something about him that I really enjoyed. And even though I liked the movie the way I did, I didn't think it was phenomenal. It didn't blow me away, but I did enjoy the film a lot more than you did. And then seeing him in this made it even cooler. It was like, wow, I really want to go back and watch Doctor Strange again.
And this is the first movie he actually got to do what he can do, and you realize how cool this character really is and stuff that he can do so awesome. And it's like his interaction between him and Spider-Man and Star-Lord and Iron Man was great. I mean, they kept calling him like the Wizard, and it was just
Space Wizard.
I mean, Space Wizard. It was hilarious. It was just great. His whole interaction, fantastic, and he's a super cool character. And I'm really, because of this, I can't wait until the next Doctor Strange movie.
Even though I liked every character in this film, the characters I thought were outstanding were Doctor Strange and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh my God! I mean, this was like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like, oh my God, this is another Guardians movie. I love it.
Especially his interaction with Thor. Oh my God, that was like some of the greatest stuff ever. Oh, we were dying. We were just dying watching that stuff.
Okay, so I'm the captain now.
I would definitely say that this is the most comic book movie that ever comic book movie in the history of comic book movies. Like, this is a crossover event, universe changing, like when they have events in comic book series all the time, which they have more and more nowadays. Like, this is everything culminating 10 years of movies up to this point and coming together and changing what the future of those movies is going to be. So if you haven't been a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and you haven't watched these movies before now, this is not the place to start. I know everybody else is going to see it and everybody's talking about it. And if you're interested, that's cool. Go back and watch some of them so you at least have some clue. But don't just go see this movie and then be like, well, I had no idea what was going on. I sat there for 2.5 hours. I don't know what's going on.
Stupid.
It's just dumb, stupid movie. I don't even know who any of these people are. Spider-Man? Spiderman? No.
Well, we all know Vince is Spider-Man. He revealed that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't mean to blow up your spot, Vince. But then, and the other thing that I want to say is that this movie, more than most movies, more than even Star Wars, is the reason why I try to stay as unspoiled as possible. Like, obviously, I watched the very first teaser trailer that came out for this because I couldn't avoid seeing it because it's everywhere. But from that point, like, I'm already going to go see this movie. You don't have to sell me on it. So I don't want to see one frame of footage. I don't want to know who's going to be in it. I don't know what they're going to do. I have blocked any word Avengers, Infinity War, Captain America, anything from Twitter because I don't want to accidentally see, oh, well, who's going to die in the next movie, or, here's my theories on what's going to happen. I don't want to even think about it until I'm sitting in front of it and watching it, because the amount of stuff that happens in this movie and the amount of surprises that I got because I didn't know anything about what was going to happen in this movie, and the amount of times that I yelled out loud when stuff happened, it was just like laughing or going, oh crap, Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, if I knew all that stuff going in, it wouldn't be the same experience.
I feel the same way. I've done the same thing, and I've done that with Star Wars. I've done that with Marvel. I've done that with Indiana Jones. I've done it with any big movie that I know that I'm gonna go see it. That's usually what I do. I stay away from as much as possible as I can, unless the only thing I listen to is stuff that's official, like it officially came from Disney, or it officially came from Marvel, or it officially came from Star Wars or Lucasfilm or what. Outside of that, I don't watch anything, because then it's all plot leaks and the end explained and this and that and the other. It's these fan crushers actually that get on. We talked about this on The Last Jedi. They get on their computer and I hated it. It sucked.
And there's a lot, and I mean a lot of spoilers that people can talk about in this movie. There's not one or two. There's a lot. There's a whole list. I mean, you can probably have 17 pages of spoilers people could give you. So this is a huge spoiler film. It's not just like the one big spoiler that happens. No, this is throughout the whole entire movie. It's spoiler.
Yeah,
spoiler.
from the first scene to the last scene to the end credits. Yeah. I mean, everything. And I would beg any of you, if you love these movies and you want to go see this movie, go into it as cold as possible. I know it's very difficult nowadays to avoid seeing things or hearing things or seeing somebody post about something. If you're able to, go see it opening weekend, or just shut everything off and don't pay any attention to anything until you can go see it, because you'll have a better experience.
One last thing I'm going to say about Black Panther was, I remember before I went and saw it, one of the hype about Black Panther was, oh, you got to see it before you see Infinity War. Everybody's like, oh, you got to see this before you see Infinity War. And now that I've seen Infinity War, it's kind of like, yeah, it is kind of a big part in the movie, but it's not that important. I mean, it is important, but it's not that important. So it's one of those films that I actually probably could have watched it after I watched this, because I've seen everything else. I'm glad it was in there. I'm glad I did see Black Panther, and you know, for his role in here, it worked out really great, and I enjoyed his role in here as much as I enjoyed it in his solo movie.
My last thing I'm going to say here is it's almost impossible to satisfy like all the fans. I mean, it's very rare. Again, 10 years building up to this movie, the anticipation level was through the roof, and you know, you get so excited about something, and then you go see it, and you're like, well, that sucked. That was stupid. I wasted 10 years for this movie. It ruined my childhood. That's not this movie. It exceeded my expectations, and my expectations were high. I thought this was going to be great. Oh my God. It's really, literally one of the best movies I have ever seen, ever. And for that, I am going to give it... Hold the applause. Hold it. Hold the applause.
I got a lot of emotions. Maybe you better go, Vince.
Get it together. Take a breath.
So there's never really been a franchise that I've given a crap about as much as Marvel Cinematic Universe. And 10 years ago, there's no way, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would care about these movies as much as I do, I would have told you were crazy. That there was no way. Like, even more than Star Wars.
What did she just say?
Like, even more than Star Wars.
Okay, well, it's a good thing I got a time gem on this thing. So let's just go ahead and rewind time and change it a little bit here, shall we?
Ja, when's er with the... These are original throw out. Boy, das haben sie eben sie abbrechen. Du wärst... Like, is nicht people screwy fit where one's just like, even more than Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to work that way.
I mean, I'm sorry, I grew up with Star Wars, but not as much as you and Vince did. But, I mean, and obviously I care about Star Wars, but,
Becky, you gotta leave. You gotta leave.
This universe...
It's over. We turn the lights off.
Stop it!
This review's over.
Stop it! This universe and these...
I literally have a lightsaber right here.
Jesus Christ.
I have a lightsaber in my hands. Hang on.
This review's gonna be 45... Sounds great! Sounds like a hairdryer.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on, turn it off.
I don't think it came on.
It did come on, it's on. Wait, turn it off. Let's see how long it takes.
Wait for it.
Wow. I think you need to get that checked out.
Anyway, back to Star Wars.
I think it broke it. So now you maybe completely derail my train of
You were
thought.
talking about Star Wars.
No, it's not.
Oh.
But yeah, so this universe and these movies mean a lot to me, and these characters mean a lot to me, and I am invested in their stories and what's happened up till now. And this movie also, like, I try not to have expectations because I like to, that's part of avoiding everything that, going into it, not knowing anything. I don't have any expectations because I have no idea what's going to happen. Obviously, I had high expectations, but yeah, this absolutely exceeded all of them. At the end of this movie, when the credits rolled, you could have heard a pin drop in that theater. It was dead silent. And, I mean, even though it's Marvel movies and people know to stay after the credits, still, nobody was going to move anyway. They were just like, what did I just watch? Holy crap. And that's an amazing experience, and it's the bomb. Don't fall through the wall.
All the Marvel stuff that Becky was talking about, you know, being invested in these characters and all that, and the whole soap opera drama of all the 18 Marvel movies, aside from having that, for me, I pretty much exactly agree with Becky, because I didn't really have any expectations to this, because I didn't let myself read anything ahead of time. I've watched all the movies, so I kind of knew what was going to possibly happen. So, and it did happen in some of the ways that I thought it would happen, but then there was a lot of stuff that happened that I didn't expect to happen. So, and it was because I didn't pay any attention to all the internet trolls and all the guys that out there that would do anything to ruin it for you. So stay away from Twitter, stay away from Facebook, go and enjoy the film for what it is, and you'll have a much better time. You'll enjoy it a whole lot more, and that's what it did for me, was because I didn't pay any attention to that, and I only watched the first trailer. That was it. I never watched any other trailers after that, and I enjoyed the movie so much more because of it. So with all that in mind, I really enjoyed the film. I had fun. Can't wait for the next one. So
I would have to give it the bomb. I mean, what else? The bomb.
I got the most ultimate power in the world right now. I'm just going to go ahead and give us 4 million new subscribers.
Gauntlet can't work miracles.
What do you mean?
Okay, give it back.
What are you doing? I mean, come on. Really? I'm only asking for 4 million subscribers. Whatever.